Afternoon, everyone. It's 12:30 and time for our weekly briefing brought to you by the Emergency Leadership Team. I'm Ruth Jackson, Vice President for Academic Affairs. And as always, I'm joined by the members of the Executive Policy Group, Vice President Teresa Powell, Dean Joshua Snavely, Dean Joshua Busby, and Chief Mario Holland. In today's session, we'll provide the weekly COVID-19 status updates. We'll continue to review our COVID-19 testing protocols. We'll introduce information about the HERF Phase 2 funding. We'll talk about our student technology initiatives and end by reflecting on resilience. So I'll turn it over to Chief Holland, who will provide our COVID-19 update. Chief.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson, and good afternoon and welcome everyone. Today as of noon on March 8th, the total number of COVID-19 cases for the state of Oklahoma had a 1% weekly increase. The number of active cases in the state of Oklahoma had a 5.5% weekly decrease. And the unfortunate news, the number of deaths in the state of Oklahoma had a 1.3% weekly increase. For Logan County, the total number of cases had a 1.2% weekly increase, and the number of active cases also rose to 10.7% as well. The good news, there were no deaths in this county for Logan County for this week. For the total number of cases for the university is 100, and the total number of active cases for the university is only 1. And now with that, I will pass to Dean Busby. Dean.
Thanks, Chief. Good afternoon, everybody. This week, we are continuing to utilize the complementary testing services through our partner Total Wellness to mitigate the risk of COVID-19 and the spread in our campus community. And so we will continue to offer testing not only for our students, but also for our employees as well. The details for this week are essentially that we were only offering testing here on the Langston campus. That's every day this week from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. in the multi. And we will not be offering testing this week in Oklahoma City or Tulsa. And also to continue along with our next phase of campus-wide testing as part of our ongoing surveillance testing program. As we stated, that's aimed at mitigating the spread of the COVID-19 virus on campus. We will host our next phase of campus-wide residence testing on Thursday, March 25th and Friday, March 26th. Again, this is for the students that reside in campus housing. So that is both our traditional and our non-traditional students that reside in campus housing. And for those students to make an appointment, we will continue to utilize our Calendly system where a student will be able to make the appointment that works best for their schedule, select the time that's best for their schedule, and that appointment link will be available for them to utilize during the week of testing. And now at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Jackson that's going to talk more about the coronavirus response and relief supplemental appropriations funding opportunity for our students.
Thanks, Dean. So those of you who have been keeping up with the news may already be aware that the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act of 2021 was passed and established, which will allow us to assist our students by using what we're calling our HERF Phase 2 funds. The purpose of these funds, like previous funds, the purpose is to help students who are experiencing difficulties as a result of the pandemic. So these additional funds can be used to assist students with costs associated with attending the university, or other emergency funds that may have come up, like food and housing, healthcare, or even childcare. So we're very happy to roll this out and share with our students that this is an opportunity that will be available to you. So I'll ask Mrs. Powell if she will talk through the eligibility components.
Sure, thanks, Dr. Jackson, and good afternoon, everyone. So this is a new grant opportunity, and the good news is that unlike the CARES Act, which had some pretty stringent requirements that were enforced by the federal government, this is also a federal grant opportunity, but it is much more general than what we've seen from the CARES Act. So you'll see on the screen there, to be eligible, students must be enrolled in at least one class for the spring 2021 semester. Some of the requirements that have been rolled back out of this grant opportunity, we no longer have the requirement of ensuring that students are eligible for Title IV funding. That's federal financial aid, which is a great benefit to the students who might need this funding. Unfortunately, there are still some prohibitions that the federal government have put in place for this grant, and that is just due to the fact that the federal funding cannot be shared with certain populations of students. So you'll see on the screen, ineligible students include international students unless they are a United States citizen or have a green card, and also concurrently enrolled students who do not have a high school diploma or equivalency. Those are the only groups of students that would not be eligible should they be enrolled. But for all other students, general students, you are eligible for this funding. I want to make a shameless plug to our graduating seniors. If you have a balance with the institution, we are committed, the committee that is working on this is committed to moving this quickly. So if you have a balance that is keeping you from applying for graduation or participating in commencement, we want you to take advantage of this opportunity. So please watch your email and be prepared to apply once you see the application link go live. Priority consideration will be made for students with exceptional financial needs. For example, those who are eligible for the Pell Grant. So that is something that is required by this grant that we prioritize, and we're committed to doing that. How do I apply? If I'm interested in this funding, how do I apply? It will be much like the CARES Act funding opportunities that we rolled out in the fall semester and prior spring semester. It's going to be an online application, very familiar to most of you who have applied previously. That application will open this week on Wednesday, March 10th. And it will close on Wednesday, March 31st. So we're giving you 3 full weeks to apply. So please make good use of that time. We are going to be prioritizing our graduating seniors that need this funding in order to participate in commencement. So please keep that in mind. So steps to apply: complete the online application. Those applications will be reviewed by a committee. It's going to be the same committee that reviewed our CARES Act funding opportunity, and that's really for consistency. And the committee is very familiar with the process, very familiar with how to get these grant awards out quickly. So that's the reason that that committee is being utilized for this opportunity as well. And that committee will have all final authority to make the decisions on the amount of the awards and the timing of the awards. And the students who are given these grant awards will be communicated directly from the committee to the student, and that will all be via email. So please watch your Langston email for that correspondence. So Dr. Jackson shared a little bit about this in her introduction of this grant opportunity, but just to reiterate, how can this grant be used? If you have an outstanding balance with the university, we want you to take advantage of this opportunity. The other great thing about this grant, unlike the CARES Act, this grant actually gives a provision to students where the student can say in their application that they would like for the university to apply their funding directly to their balance, which is a huge benefit. So we can do that. Unlike the CARES Act, we were not allowed to do that. We can actually apply it directly to your balance. If you have an outstanding balance with the university, that will be encompassed within the application. So please take advantage of that. If you have need for funding for food, housing, healthcare, including mental health, childcare, or other emergency costs that have arisen due to the pandemic, then you can apply and be considered for this funding. And one last reminder, the online application will expire on Wednesday, March 31st at 11:59 p.m. So please take advantage of this opportunity before that time. And with that, I will ask Dean Snavely to give us a brief update on our deployment of student technology. Dean?
Thanks, Vice President Powell. Exciting news there. Also have exciting news to report on our technology initiative for students. As we shared last week, we were in catch-up mode thanks to the winter weather, and happy to report now that we have either deployed or sent out to students potential appointment times to pick up all of the technology requests that we've received under the program to date. So we are really grateful to Mr. Moncrief, Mr. Leonard Smith, Ms. Muhammad, and our team of amazing students who work in ITS for their work round the clock to get those computers ready for deployment for those students who are in need of that technology. We have plenty more to continue to deploy if a student has a need. On the left there, you'll see the QR code that can be used to get access to that application form. Again, once you apply, we then get that computer ready and then send you a rental agreement form to complete that also includes potential appointment times for pickup, or if someone lives outside 50 miles of a university campus, they provide us with shipping information so that we can get that technology to them. So we'll continue to distribute those. If students have questions around the program, they can email LUELT. Again, just want to give thanks to all those who participated in that, for the patience of our students as we've worked through one of the largest sort of logistical processes that we've had before, and we're excited that that program continues. So with that wraps up all of our official items today. So we'll open it up now for discussion through the Q&A feature or the chat feature. So for those who have questions from today's presentation, you're welcome to ask them now. And your questions do not have to be related to anything we've talked about. They can be anything related to emergency leadership operations. There's a question in the chat about our ability, or the ability of students or faculty staff to access the buildings in case of a tornado warning, after hours, weekends, times like that. So the emergency leadership team is the group that manages that. That was actually one of our primary responsibilities prior to COVID-19, was around weather. So I'll ask Chief Holland to chime in, but mainly our protocols now provide that when a tornado or severe weather watch begins, that initiates our protocols, including the unlocking of designated shelters across the campus. And Chief Holland, working with our emergency leadership team, deploys officers across the campus to unlock those spaces and make sure they're safe and habitable during these periods. And then whenever those do happen, those watches and warnings, Chief's team is watching the National Weather Service all the time. It also triggers messaging from Vice President Powell's office in Public Relations that will go out consistent with whatever level the campus is at the time. But Chief, I don't know if you want to weigh in further, or Mrs. Powell.
Yeah, Dean, you hit everything correct. We definitely keep aware of those situations and ensure that we have the proper messaging to go out, including we open all shelter locations so we can have that available if there is a need. So we definitely stay on top of that and monitor everything and to ensure that we have effective communication going out to our community.
And I might also mention, and Chief can speak more on this, but if you use our emergency app through LUPD, the Campus Shield app, all of the shelter locations are accessible there and posted. So that's another resource for you to use. And of course, LUPD has the ability to send out alerts through that mechanism as well if you have that free app that's downloadable, and you can actually download it for Langston University.
So
That is
there's a
and
question
thank you.
about, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that I was just saying that is correct, and thank you for pointing that out, VP Powell.
Okay. So that there's a question about, are we going to have any in-person activities, or will they all continue to be online? So of course, the majority of our activities from a student perspective, student programming perspective, is offered in a virtual format. Actually, right now, there are a lot of Women's History Month activities that are planned for this month. And so all of those are offered in a virtual space. We would encourage all of you to partake in those and participate in those programming. Our committee, which is a team of colleagues from around the campus, have worked to put a great program together for the month, a list of events for the month. And so would encourage you all to participate in that. As it relates to any in-person activities, there are some limited in-person activities. Case in point, on last weekend, we offered, of course, the football game. Students could attend the football game in person, as well as our volleyball game as well. We'll continue along that trajectory for the rest of the semester. Also, we do have a task force that is coming together as the world is beginning to open back up to lay the foundation for some parameters on what it looks like to offer in-person type of programming on campus as well. And so we hope that they'll be releasing that information soon, as our student organizations will be looking to offer some additional programming that may be in person. So the emergency leadership team is working with that task force, and once we get that finalized, we'll of course be sending that information out through the Office of Student Life. As it relates to anything outside of student activities, of course, all of that would be vetted individually by the emergency leadership team. Thanks for that question.
It doesn't seem like there are any more questions that I see in the chat or in our Q&A feature. So we'll move on to my favorite portion of our weekly webinar, reflecting on resilience. And this week, we'd like to spotlight our Office of Career and Professional Development for hosting our Spring 2021 Career Fair. As it was last semester, this semester's career fair was a virtual experience, and we're really pleased at the level of participation. So in this year's career fair, we had a total of 129 students who attended at least one session. So fun fact, we did have one student who was able to interface with 15 vendors. And so we're really excited about that enthusiasm and hope that continues and expands across our campus. Of the 129 students, 34% of the attendees were actually freshmen. And so that's a great sign, and it really gives us some insight into how eager they are. So thank you to all of the faculty and staff who encouraged students to participate, especially the freshmen. The next class that participated was our seniors. The seniors made up 30% of the participants in our virtual career fair. when looking at schools. The School of Arts and Sciences had the most attendees, with 32.5% of them being from majors within the School of Arts and Sciences, followed by the School of Business with 21.7%. So you'll see on the screen right now a list of vendors that we had. We had 69 school districts, companies, organizations, graduate and professional schools to sign up. They provided great feedback of how much they enjoyed our students and how well prepared our students were. So once again, we're very proud of you students, and we are appreciative of all of the efforts that went into preparing our students for this event. Not only did they talk about employment, many of them were able to interview and discuss opportunities for internships for the summer and throughout the remainder of their matriculation at Langston University. On the next slide, you'll see one of our participants, Ms. Lois Moore, who's a biology major and an honors student. You'll see her statement, which really highlights her appreciation for the Office of Career and Professional Development. It was through activities sponsored by that office that she won a $100 gift card to JCPenney and was able to purchase this professional suit and wear it during the virtual career fair. So thanks, Lois, for sharing that with us. And we had many, many more positive experiences that were expressed by our students. And so I hope that everyone is monitoring their email. You should be receiving quite a few messages from Mrs. Thompson, our Director of Career and Professional Development. Want to say thank you to Mrs. Thompson for jumping right in. She was hired just in November, and we can only imagine it's not easy to start a new job, and especially in the midst of a pandemic. But she jumped right in, started interacting with our students, with our faculty and staff, as well as some outside organizations, and was able to bring us a phenomenal career fair. So again, check your emails regularly. There are internship opportunities that are provided, as well as opportunities to get to meet some companies and have some tips on resume writing, professional interviewing, and the like. Our next opportunity will be March 10th at noon. Check your email for a message from her about the Tulsa Service Year, which is a year-long paid program that offers 4 potential areas of focus: entrepreneurship, social impact, civic leadership, and arts and culture. So if you're interested, please feel free to reach out to Ms. Thompson. She's always available to help. And so with that, we thank you for joining us this week and invite you to join us for our next webinar, which will be held next Monday, March 15th at the same time, 12:30. And so until then, take care, Lions.